Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the 3 Hour News Show. Now we're live again from our mini studio in Labuan, Bajo, East Nusa Tenggara, which is just right next to the venue or the main venue for the summit this year. So Labuan Bajo is very much happening, especially because ASEAN Summit is held here for the very first time. This is the first big event happening here, and the MSMEs are also been very much taking part on it. As President Joko Widodo mentions, has to be the big party for everyone, especially the MSMEs. Now, one of the culinary tourism areas that are very famous around here and just a walking distance from the main summit venue, which is the Mirwara Hotel, is the Kampung Ujung, where it sells a lot of very nice seafood over there. And we want to know how it is right now at this very moment, because last night President Joko Widodo visited the place, and now Arya Siddhartha, our news team, together with Nico Arianto, is already on standby at the location. So Arya, how is it right there? We heard that the seafood is amazing over there at Kampung Ujung. Tell us.
Right, thank you, Alia. So, yes, that's what they say. A lot of the seafood is amazing. And in fact, I can already smell a lot of the seafood being cooked right now. The Kampung Ujung Culinary Market here nearby the Merora is has just very recently opened because it only opens around nighttime and they're just starting to cook. Unfortunately, I won't be able to taste any of it, but just from the smell alone, it smells fantastic. And back to the point of Labuan Bajo being the first time ASEAN Summit, it's important to not forget that in the 3 times in the past that Indonesia has hosted the ASEAN Summit, this counts as the first time that Indonesia will not be using Bali as the venue for the summit. Now, Jakarta, of course, will be hosting the 43rd ASEAN Summit later in September, but right now, all eyes are on Labuan Bajo as it makes its debut as the summit venue. Now, of course, this is a deliberate choice from the Indonesian government as it seeks to diversify and also expand the tourism destinations in Indonesia outside of just Bali. Now, Labuan Bajo is one of several super priority destinations designated by the Ministry of Tourism. And as such, the region will receive a good amount of attention as well as development in order to create it into an even bigger and better tourism destinations in the coming years. Several world-class hotels and resorts have already propped up here, has been long established, such as, for example, the Merora Hotel that you've mentioned previously, which is like behind me, or down the road there, and it is where President Joko Widodo himself and several other VIP delegates will be staying for the duration of the summit. And just as you've mentioned, across the road from there lies where I'm standing in right now, the Kampung Ujung Culinary Market, where you'll find rows and rows of seafood vendors selling the freshest catch available. You'll find assorted varieties of fish, of clams and shrimp and squid and all kinds of seafood that you can imagine, and it's fresh off the catch because right behind me, if you can see already, the place where people dine in the Kampung Ujung is right by the bay, and you're treated to not just great food but also a great view as well. So that is quite a treat for any of tourists who are going to visit Labuan Bajo. This is what you'll be expecting. And as you've mentioned, of course, President Jokowi himself visited this culinary spot yesterday, actually last night, and he looked around to survey, see the food on offer, all the fresh seafood that's displayed in the stalls. I also got to talking to some of the vendors, asking them, the prices for certain seafoods and shrimps that are available, as well as, giving out some free T-shirts to the vendors that are working hard to ensure that the ASEAN Summit is not only successful, but it's enjoyable for all parties involved. And I'm sure he had quite a good time. Hopefully he tried some of the seafood on offer because it is quite delicious. We had some of the seafood yesterday, and it does live up to the hype. The vendors themselves fortunately have stated that business is booming. It's on the way up as more and more tourists find themselves in Labuan Bajo, and more eyes, the international spotlight turns to Labuan Bajo for the next big tourism destinations. And of course, this ASEAN Summit will only increase that exposure in the future. Now, we initially planned to have a little sit down, show off the seafood on offer. But unfortunately, earlier there was quite a big thunderstorm, so that was a bit delayed. So hopefully, my descriptions of the sights and smells is enough to get people a little bit hyped up and more excited to come to Labuan Bajo if you haven't decided about that already. Back to you.
Very much interested in knowing how about you mentioned that it's quite delicious. It's got a lot of options from the seafood freshest catch. But what about the pricing? What do you think?
Oh, of course, the pricing here is, I suppose it depends on if you are a local tourist, if you're an international tourist. I'm pretty sure for international tourists, those from Western countries, UK, America, Australia, you name it, they probably would not feel as it is any different than what they're used to. But maybe for local tourists, it is a bit heftier in terms of pricing than what they find in like the regular cities. But what you need to keep in mind is that a lot of these fish are very fresh. They're what they say is that they only die once, as in you catch the fish and it's immediately being prepared, being served. They don't put it in the freezers, as you can see in some of these vendors. They don't have fridges or refrigeration units. They immediately have the freshest catch available and prepare it right on the spot. So it is definitely reasonable for the quality of fish that you're getting here.
What about right now? We had thunderstorm, but it seems like it already stops. You see people coming already throughout, along the bay and trying to see some vendors selling the freshest seafood?
Now that you mention it, yes. Now, as we look around, it was very, very empty earlier when the thunderstorm rolled in, but it has since cleared up, and more people I see are coming in from all kinds of directions, both local and international tourists, getting ready to savor some of the culinary treats here on offer. And of course, some of the vendors have also started opening up during the thunderstorm. Of course, a lot of these fishes are being grilled, and of course, you're not able to grill during a thunderstorm, but now more and more of them are starting to fire up their grills and preparing all that fresh seafood that I was just talking about.
The time for you to order one for you as well and tell us more about the taste. Thank you so much, Arya Siddhartha, live from Kampung Ujung, where all the seafoods, the freshest catch are available over there. And that's the wrap for today's from the 42nd ASEAN Summit. But we'll be back with more updates later on the show, so keep it right here on the 3 Hour News Show only on See Today.